Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining this Built in Klipfolio webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Exequiel, and I'm a customer success guru at Klipfolio. Today, I'm going to walk you through very simple steps to show you how you can build dashboards in Klipfolio, and also how you can build different types of visualization. So let's go ahead and dive right into it. I'm going to start by creating a new dashboard. So as you can see here, I already am in the open view dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and create the plus button in here, and I'm going to create a new dashboard. I can name it anything that I want. So on the left side of the screen, and here I'm going to be able to see that new dashboard and just rename it. So for this one, we can just call it webinar. And now that I have this webinar created, now I can start adding clips. So today we're going to be adding two different types of clips, if you will. One is going to be the clips that you probably have already had the chance to build. And we're also going to be adding some metrics. So we're going to add both of those to show you how you can create a powerful dashboard and how you can track your data. So I'm going to go ahead and add a clip. And today we're going to be focusing mainly on how we can create custom clips. So as you know, at Klipfolio, we have a gallery of content where you can pull a lot of pre-built widgets. So let's go ahead and take a look at, for example, Google Analytics, where you can see that your widgets are already built. All you need to do is just simply bring them into the dashboard. So let's say I'm looking for this website performance widget. I can just simply add it to the dashboard by clicking in the Add to Dashboard button. Once the widget has been added to the dashboard, all I need to do is go into this blue ribbon and connect my data. You're gonna see that it's gonna authenticate your account. Second of all, it's going to ask you to select the account that goes with that data. And once you have it, I'm going to go ahead and update the clip, and that will give me my Google Analytics website performance. So while this is updating, you can see now that I have added the first widget into my dashboard. However, that was very easy and very simple. Today, we're going to focus on how you can customize those widgets. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new clip in this case. And I'm going to create a custom clip. So this time we're going to do something a little bit different. So now what you see on the screen right now, it's what we call the clip editor. So this is where you're going to be living for the beginning of your journey with Klipfolio as you start to figure out what are the KPIs that you want to track and how do I want to visualize them. So what we're going to see is on the right-hand side of the screen, it's all the different components that you can use in order to visualize your data. In the center of the screen is where you're going to find the visualization that you're building. And at the bottom, it's going to be your actual data. So let's go ahead and let's take an example for this. I'm going to bring the bar line chart on the right-hand side and just simply drag it into the middle of the screen. And I'm just going to be dropping it in there. Now I can go ahead and add a data source that will go along with that graph. So in my data sources, I can go ahead and say, select all the data sources that I have. So I've previously created a data source called webinar example data, just to make it a little bit easier. So if I click on that one, it'll already going to bring data. So I can see that I have 4 different columns. So I have a date column, I have a channel grouping column, I also have how many sessions I had per channel group and per date, as well as the volume of sessions, whether that session's volume was high or low. So today what I want to do is I want to be able to create a bar line chart, and I'm going to add some filters to it to really understand my data a little bit better. So for this particular case, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be building a bar line chart based on time. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have the time on the x-axis, and I want to know how many sessions I have per channel group, but the idea is to have a drop-down menu of all the different channel groups. So let's take a look and see how we build this. Let's go ahead and let's start on the x-axis. In here, I'm going to be selecting what I want to see on my x-axis. In this case, it's going to be my dates. So if I select the first column, sorry, I'm going to have all the different dates. Keep in mind that if I scroll all the way to the bottom of my data source, I'm going to be able to see only the first 200 items. But if I want to take a look and see how many items this column is actually returning, I can use the evaluate function in here to really take a look. And here, look at this. We have 3,000 items. So there's a lot of data that's coming in here that perhaps I don't want to see. So let's go ahead and let's go. We're going to be filtering this, so don't worry quite yet. But what we're going to do is we're going to go into properties and make a few changes. So the first change that I want to do is obviously change this title to date, so that we know these are going to be the dates, and I can show that title on the x-axis. Maybe I'm going to change the way that I'm visualizing that data, and maybe I want to simply see it by the date and the month. I'm not interested quite in the year yet. So once I have this information in here, I'm just going to leave it the way that it is, and I'm going to come back in a minute to add a filter to help me filter this data a little bit. So once I have that information, now I can go ahead and start building on the y-axis, which in this case is going to be the number of sessions. So by having the number of sessions, I can already see how it's allocating all that data already on the x-axis. So on the properties, I'm going to once again make a couple of changes. So I'm going to name these sessions. I can show that title as well and show the numbers as you can see it in here. So I can right now showing the sessions in there. So what we're going to do now, once I have all this information, it's really, really hard to read. So a better way for me to understand this data is by creating a date picker. So today, I'm going to show you how you can create a date picker. Very, very simple. What we're going to do is we're going to start with a layout grid that will allow us to have two components on each side to be able to take a look and compare. And what I'm going to be doing for this example is just simply bring in a user input control that will allow me to use it as a date picker, so that one is going to be the start date and the other one is going to be my end date. So in here, I'm going to say this is going to be the start date. And now I'm going to change it for the end date. The next step is going to be changing this particular layout grids that I have here into having, the user input control into having it as a date picker. So what this allows me to do is to, instead of having a drop-down menu, I can actually have a calendar. And so this calendar, the goal is for us to select a range of time, and then the graph will react to it. So let's go ahead and let's start with the start date. And let's create a variable first that we're going to be using to filter on the x-axis. We're going to call this one start date. And we're going to call the end date the variable end date. Now that I've created that, I can simply select. So maybe if I want data for April, I can say April 2nd to today. And then I should be able to see that information on my graph. But I'm missing my filters. So what I'm going to do is on the x-axis, what I'm going to do is add a filter. And so the way that we add the filter is by adding a condition. So the conditions that we're going to be adding is that it has to be the date that I'm selecting. It has to be after the variable start date. And we're going to add another one to be before the end date. And so when I select that, now I can see how I'm always seeing data from April 2nd in this case to April 1st. I can also say on the x-axis to not drop any labels so that I can actually see all the dates. And we can also group them if we're noticing that some of those dates are repeating, and so that we really have only a sum of all the different sessions per date, no matter what the group channel is. So this is going to be simply, we're going to do sessions by date. I'm going to go ahead and save it, and I'm going to be adding my first clip to my graph. Now let's go ahead and select April 1st to today. And there you have it. So now I can move it to the right so that I have more space. So now I have a clip that I built completely from scratch. What questions do you have about how I built this? I see the first question coming through, and the question is, can I apply this day picker to any visualization? That's a great question. The answer is yes. You can certainly apply this day filter, and you can add it to a pie chart, to a table. However you would like to visualize your data, you should be able to apply it. I don't see any more questions coming through for now. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna keep adding more clips. So let's go ahead and let's create now a new clip. It's gonna be also a custom clip, and we're gonna stick to the same data so that you can see how that's going to play out this time. So maybe we can pick a different component. So for this particular case, I'm going to be using maybe a value pair that would allow me to take a look at my data and see how I can visualize it. So let's go ahead, let's bring the same data source, which is gonna be my webinars data sample that I already created. And this time, what I'm looking to do is I'm looking to, again, take a look at the number of sessions, but we're gonna add specific filters. So what we're gonna do for this is going to say, we're gonna call it sessions. And I was thinking about doing it for this month, but because today it's the first of the month, we might not get a lot of results considering that it's only a day. So we're gonna do it for this week. So that's how we're gonna keep it in there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and start working with this data. But this time what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a drop-down menu to take a look at the different groups channels. So the first number that I would like to represent is probably going to be the number of sessions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply select the number of sessions, and you can see here it's going to align all those numbers in there. I'm going to go into my properties and I'm going to create an aggregation, and I wanted to sum all that data. Let's make a couple of changes in here. Let's make it extra big, and maybe we can put it in blue. So right now I have the number of sessions. So I can also add text if I want to. So in this case, we're gonna do space. And so we know exactly how many sessions. It's a little big, so we're gonna do maybe medium or even large. There we go. And now what we're gonna do is for the second value is we can either use it as a title or we can use it simply as another number. So in this case, I can always say that because I'm looking for sessions, we're gonna say that we can use this as a title if I want. And I'm gonna say here by group channels. Oh, sorry, channel grouping. So as long as I put it in quotations mark, I should be able to see it in there. I can have it right in the middle. And that way I know exactly how I'm dividing my sessions. So now we need to add a couple of filters. So the first filter that we're going to be adding is our time filter. What this allows me to do is to select the data just for this week. So because I'm going to filter it in my sessions, what I'm going to do is in my primary value, I'm going to add what we call hidden data. This is going to allow me to filter the data by the dates. So we're going to select the dates, and then in properties, we're going to call this our day filter. Now, in order for me to add that filter, I need to click on add a filter, and we're going to add a condition. And the condition is that I want in the last, units to date, and then we're going to say week. So when I filter, now I have a total number of sessions this week for that entire data source that you saw in there. But guess what? This data source is also divided by channel groups. So if we want to see a change based on the channel groups, what we need to do is create another drop-down list using a user info control. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring it. The title for this channel group, for this particular user info control, is going to be channel groups. My values is going to be the actual channel grouping section, which is going to be the second column so that I can see all the different types of groups. And in my values, I'm going to group them together so that I only have one of each. And I'm also going to select in the user info control the options to have all channels. And I can also change this to be all channels if I want. So I can have all of them or a specific one. In order for me to filter this data, once again, I need to add a filter to my sessions. And we're going to do it by using variables. So this is going to tell me first the type of channel that I'm selecting. So we're going to call it channels. That's going to be the variable. And then in here, the same way that I filter my data by dates, I'm also going to go ahead and add another hidden filter. And this time it's going to be my channel filter. For this one, it's going to be my day filter. And in the channel filter, once again, we're going to select column B. And in my properties, I'm going to add a filter to say that the condition needs to match that channel filter that I have. Sorry, channel variable that I have. And there you have it. So now if I go and I take a look at direct sessions, it's going to give me the specific number. Organic search, and it'll tell you exactly how many sessions you have. In this particular case, this week for those specific sessions. So once I have this ready, I can go ahead and save it. And once again, we're going to add it to the dashboard. Now that I have it in here, I can go ahead and I can, again, keep moving it just to make sure that it's all symmetrical. So what questions did you have about that particular clip? The question that is coming through is, how many clips can I have in a dashboard? That's a great question. So far we have 3, but you can have up to 30 clips in a dashboard, which will give you plenty of room for you to have lots of different KPIs, and they can all be coming from different services. As you can see here, I have data coming from Google Analytics, from telling me how my website is performing, but I also have all this other data, which is either coming from a spreadsheet or from Google Analytics as well, telling me how my sessions are doing. So let's go ahead now and let's add a metric. For those that are not familiar, metric is another journey that you can take at Klipfolio that will allow you to track the different KPIs in your organization. Where it says custom dashboards, I'm going to simply switch this to metrics, and that will take me into this other completely different feature. As you can see, I've been playing around already and I've been building some metrics in here. And what this allows me to do is to create data, create metrics that will allow me to work with that information and to better understand how I'm doing. So let's go ahead and let's create a metric, and then we're going to go back and add it to the dashboard. So under metrics, I'm going to press on this plus button once again. I can either select a service that I'm going to be using, or I can just simply create it from scratch. Today, we're going to focus on adding the information that we have. So let's go ahead with Google Analytics. We're going to stick to that since we've already been working. And so let's say we were working with sessions. Maybe I'm looking into knowing more how my page views is doing. So if I click on page views, once again, it's going to ask me to select an account. And when I press next, it's going to give me that information that I need on how my page views are doing. In this particular case, it's already creating it. You can see that was super easy. That was very, very simple to create. And this is sort of like very similar to what the pre-built content looks like. Here on the right-hand side, I have the option to view my data in different ways. So if I really want to see how this is working, I can go ahead and name it and show different graphs. So we're going to keep it, maybe let's keep it with a pie chart, just to keep something a little bit different. And it'll tell you in this case that 65% was, in this case, organic search. In this case, 30% came from referrals, social, direct. So this is how your page views are happening. So in this case, I can go ahead, I can edit this. If I just want to call it maybe page views, and I want to lock it to this image, I'm going to go ahead and save it. And once I save it, if I go back into my metrics gallery, I should be able to see it right at the beginning, page views. Now that I have it in there, I can actually go ahead and add it to my dashboard. So if I switch this once again, and I go in here, so instead of adding a clip, this time I'm going to add a metric. I can look in here and see what are some of the metrics that I've been working with. So page view is the one that I created. So when I press the plus button, automatically it shows up. And now I can add it to my dashboard. So there you have it. I can make this one a little bit bigger to make it a little bit more symmetrical. And a cool thing about this is that I can also reconfigure this. And if I want to have a bar line chart, we said we wanted a pie chart. So if I want to have a pie chart, I can just simply change it in here. Right now it's doing it by channel groups because it's the topic that we were working with. But if I want to do it by country, perhaps I can show you how many page views I had by country. And you can see it in there. So also in here, I can change the date. So maybe I'm looking to see it only for the last 7 days, because we're looking in this case for this week. So we're going to do that. I'm going to do last 7 days. Oops. And that way I have a better understanding on how this, this metric it's looking. Now, let me show you something really cool. I can also go ahead and add another metric, and it's going to be the exact same metric that I had here before. But the only difference is that I can reconfigure this and change things around a little bit. So for example, I can say I want it to be a bar line chart. I want this to be for the last maybe 30 days. And so it'll add that data. If I don't have the data available, in this case, it will not show it. So in this case, we can just keep it maybe the last 14 days, and I can see that, or maybe the last 7 days. So if we're gonna keep it, we can, if I'm gonna keep it to lock it to 14 days, it's important that I change this probably in my title. So page views. "14 days, and also I can lock it down to have the specific segments that I want. So in this one, maybe I'm interested to know it by device type. So then there you have it. So now I can see how each one of those devices. So let's say we just want to see desktop, or we just want to see how we're doing in mobile and tablet. I can totally change it. And so you can see how it changes based on the different series that we're using. And this one, I only have one series, so it's a little bit different, but you can understand how we can start working with different types of metrics and KPIs, bring them all together, and create a beautiful dashboard that will tell me how my website is performing in general. What questions do you have about adding some of those metrics into the dashboard that you currently have? The question that it's coming through is, when I add a new metric, do I have to have it in the metrics hub? That's a great question, actually. Yes, you do. So the metrics are going to be all saved under the metrics monitoring tab, but you can bring as many metrics as you want, and you can, again, change the visualization. And as a note, this metric that I have in here is going to be the same one. So we're going to call them power metrics instead of just metrics, so that it's easier for you guys to understand. So a power metric is going to be a KPI. And in this case, I have the exact same metric with two different views. One is for the last 14 days, one is for the last 7 days. One is divided by country, the other one is divided by device type. But they're both giving me the same data, which is the number of page views. That's why I kept that title at the top. So the last topic I would like to cover is how do I share this dashboard? So it's ready to go. We want people to see it. It's very easy. Under the webinars tab, I can just click on this 3 dots, and there are a couple of ways I can do that. I can simply download it as a PDF or an image. I can also send it to somebody through a link. So I can create a link in here where they can view it. Or also we can set it up to be a recurring email. However, as you can see here, the email and the link are not available. The reason why is because I have 2 metrics or 2 power metrics in this dashboard. If I take a look at some of the other ones, for example, this one where I didn't have one of those, I might have the ability to send them to my colleagues so that they can take a look at it and they can see it. So this is what I have for today. If you have any questions, please feel free to do so. If not, if you perhaps have some specific question to your personal use case, send us an email to success@klipfolio.com and we'll be able to help you. Thank you so much and have a great day.